disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing.
Man, it's like a war zone out here. Ain't nobody safe. I mean, there's a war over here, a war over there. These YouTube streets is gone crazy. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Streets is Talking, Exposed TV Live. We're in the building and we got some things we want to discuss. Check this out. Puffy was looking terrible in court, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, he was looking terrible. And the conversation that Cassie was giving to the court was out of control. Her testimony had Puffy shook. Diddy looked like he seen a goddamn ghost. I mean, he looked as so bad as ridiculous. But check this out. When Cassie came up on stage and she started talking, oh my God, the conversation was wild. As you know, they began to talk about, questioning her about the freak-offs. What was involved, was it drugs and everything like that. But then they got down to business and Cassie was saying how Puff Daddy used to watch her have sex with male workers, right? And then as soon as the male worker would ejaculate inside her, Puff Daddy would tell her to go in the room and pull the cum out and rub it on his stomach. That's right. Take the cum out of her coochie and rub it on his stomach and rub it on his nipples. And that's how he got off. Also, when she was having sex with other workers, he would sit there and jack off. Puffy's a goddamn nut. The shit was so nasty, the family got up and walked out. Puff Daddy's children walked out the goddamn courtroom. They couldn't take it. They was like me, you nasty motherfucker. Now, Gene Dill weighed in on the situation, Puffy's old bodyguard. He weighed in on the situation, and here's what he had to say about a couple of things that went down in court. Also, he exposed a little more information about what was going on behind the scenes when he was there. Let's get into that.
I think that Cassie has done a great job. And then, that video speaks for itself. That if you think that's the only time that girl got her ass whooped, then something is wrong with you. And by Puff throwing a wooden hanger and knocking some girl in the head with it and giving her a concussion, if that's the only thing that he's done, or you think that he's capable of doing, as far as to females, you're wrong. She is painted the picture that this dude, if he didn't get his way or he thought somebody was doing something to him, that he got that brat syndrome, he gonna do whatever he have to do in order to hurt them and injure them, far as these women are concerned. He did it to Misa. He did it to Kim. He did it to Cassie. He did it to girl Gina that we know of. He was trying to beat one of those girls up on UT or MTV when they had that little program and stuff. One of the what was it, dance coordinators or something like that? Yo, my man dude got a temper. And he gets violent. She's just painting the picture.
And man, did she paint the picture. But here's one thing I wanted to ask you guys. How do you think her husband feel after hearing all this shit in court? I understand why she's having children and stuff, because that's one thing that Puffy couldn't get out of her was children. And so, of course, you're going to find something sacred when you're with another man that no man has ever done before. In this case, as far as I'm concerned. And that's why she's having children back to back to try to forget everything. But do you think Cassie still got that little freak up in her? Okay. Now, I've asked a couple of questions. What do you think her husband is thinking? Now, I heard this comedian say that the husband, after hearing all this shit, he was like, fuck that, we got to get a divorce. But I'm sure that's just comic view, comic talk. But the fact is, that shit remains in his mind. Remember where the husband come from. He used to be a trainer. She left him for Puffy and come back and be with him, and now they splitting the money and they sharing all that shit. I mean, this is just some wild shit going on in court. Now, let's talk about Kim Porter and how she mysteriously died, okay? Now, y'all know that she got a baby by Al B. Sure. okay? And I'll be sure and Puff Daddy, they wouldn't see eye to eye, all right? But here's the thing, right? Her mysterious death. Now, from a conspiracy perspective, it could have been somebody set this thing up in a way where Puff Daddy was on the outside, he came in through a third party, and he lined her up through her husband or some other means. Now, I know this sounds like a mystery to you, but look, let me tell you what I'm talking about.
Puff may have used somebody to give Al something that could have caused that. There's a possibility. You know what I'm saying? There's a possibility that somebody in a good gesture may have gave Al something that was given to them from Puff, and he believes that.
So you think Diddy is that powerful that he can have something like that done from a distance?
Bruh, let me just tell you something, man. They have someone that are mutual. And if I give you something for you to have and you partake in it, isn't it possible you can get sick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Me and your cameraman, I gave you a bottle of bourbon. Your cameraman give you the bourbon. You get sick from the bourbon. He must got proof, bruh. Because you got to realize Al is famous. Puff is famous. You can't make statements like that unless you got some proof. And I believe Al got some proof on that.
What you think about Albie Short saying that he willing to testify against Diddy?
Well, if he have a reason to testify against Diddy, he can point out if they ever bring anything, and they said something about Kim Porter. If they bring up something about Kim Porter in one of these counts and everything like that, Al could testify that she was in the best of health. He had just spoke to him. He ain't no doctor or nothing like that. But if I'm speaking to you and we speaking and everything is okay and good and cool, and then next thing you know, you're sick, then what, bro? The next day or two, you're sick and you dead. That don't look right. That don't seem right. What the hell has happened? I'm gonna think something is wrong. You understand what I'm saying? I'm gonna think something is wrong. And I'll believe something is wrong. If he spoke to Kim 2-3 days and she was fine, no problem, how the hell pneumonia kill you like that? And they said she died of pneumonia.
How you feel about Albie Short's son showing up to court supporting Diddy after Albie Short came out accusing Diddy of putting him in a coma?
Quincy has had a long relationship with Puff. Puff has spoiled Quincy as if he was his own. I used to hear rumors that Puff had adopted Quincy and he didn't, because you would have to find Al B. Sure and take his parental rights away. Or he could have married Kim and he became his father that way. But Puff was never Quincy's father. He was just a man that took care of Quincy and his mother. So Quincy has a relationship with him. He has opened some doors for Quincy. So I don't see anything wrong with Quincy supporting him in that way. But if it came down to my personal belief, Quincy is brainwashed as the rest of those people are that be around him. Just as brainwashed. So I could see him going to the trial.
Damn, you think Diddy got him brainwashed?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that he's going to see the light.